Sarah, a 70-year-old retired nurse, had spent her entire life caring for others, always putting their needs before her own. Her career had been fulfilling, but after retiring, she found herself facing a new set of challenges, ones she couldn't easily manage. For years, Sarah had been dealing with arthritis, high blood pressure, and the emotional toll of stress and loneliness. While she had always been strong and independent, these new health struggles made her feel weaker and more vulnerable than ever before. Living alone, Sarah found herself increasingly isolated. Her children, now adults with families of their own, had their own busy lives and didn't visit as often as she wished. The absence of close family support left her feeling disconnected from the world around her. She spent many evenings staring out of her window, feeling the weight of her situation. The stress of managing chronic health conditions, combined with the loneliness, made each day feel like a struggle. Despite taking her prescribed medications, Sarah didn't feel much relief. Her arthritis made it difficult to do even simple tasks, like walking or picking up a grocery bag. The constant pain drained her energy, and her high blood pressure added to her sense of overwhelm. She found herself lying awake at night, her mind racing with worries about her health, her future, and her loneliness. The stress compounded her physical discomfort, and the cycle seemed endless. Sarah had tried many conventional methods of managing stress, from relaxation techniques to therapy, but nothing seemed to stick. She didn't have the patience for some methods, and others simply didn't make a noticeable difference. It was during one of her routine doctor visits, however, that a new idea was introduced. Her doctor had been advising her to manage her stress more effectively, and this time, he suggested something that piqued her interest: mindfulness meditation. At first, Sarah was skeptical. She didn't know much about mindfulness and wondered how something so simple could help with her complex health problems. But her doctor spoke about the numerous benefits that people had experienced, particularly for stress reduction, anxiety, and chronic pain. The idea of reducing her anxiety and having better control over her emotional state seemed worth exploring. If there was even a small chance of improvement, she decided to give it a try. One of Sarah's close friends, who was also in her 70s, had recently begun practicing mindfulness. Sarah was surprised when her friend told her how much better she felt after just a few weeks of practice. Her friend spoke of a greater sense of calmness, less anxiety, and even improved sleep. This conversation was the final nudge Sarah needed. If her friend could experience such positive changes, perhaps she could too. Feeling cautiously hopeful, Sarah decided to give mindfulness a try. She wasn't expecting a miracle, but after years of struggling with her health, she figured it was worth trying anything that could potentially offer some relief. After all, she had spent decades taking care of others. Perhaps now it was time to focus on her own well-being. It wasn't going to be an easy journey, but Sarah was ready to take the first step. Little did she know that this small decision would mark the beginning of a profound transformation in both her health and her outlook on life. Sarah started her mindfulness journey with a simple commitment: just 10 minutes every morning. She downloaded a guided mindfulness meditation app, hoping it would provide the structure she needed. The first session was far from easy. As she sat on her couch, her back stiff from arthritis and her mind cluttered with worries, she found it incredibly difficult to focus on the present moment. Thoughts about her health, her loneliness, and the never-ending to-do list kept interrupting her attempts to relax. It felt unnatural, almost impossible. During those first few sessions, Sarah questioned whether she was doing it right. She had trouble staying still, and even with the guidance, she found herself more frustrated than calm. The stillness she was supposed to embrace seemed more like a burden than a relief. At times, she wanted to give up. "I'm just not cut out for this," she thought. But there was a small, quiet part of her that believed things could be different. She knew her stress levels were sky high, and if she could find even a little peace, it would make a huge difference. So Sarah decided to push through. She stuck to her 10-minute routine each morning, even when it felt awkward. Slowly, very slowly, she began to notice a slight change. Her mind didn't race as much as it used to during the meditation. The constant worrying about her health and her isolation would fade into the background for a brief moment, allowing Sarah to focus on the here and now. She felt a sense of relief that she hadn't felt in months, just a few seconds of calmness. The first noticeable improvement came after about a week. Sarah began to realize that, throughout the day, she wasn't as overwhelmed by anxious thoughts. It wasn't that the problems had gone away, they were still there, looming in the background, but she found that she could handle them with a bit more ease. Instead of immediately jumping into worrying about her arthritis pain or her blood pressure, she could take a pause. She had learned, through mindfulness, how to let go of those immediate reactions and approach her challenges with a more balanced mindset. Another positive shift was that Sarah's sleep quality began to improve. For months, she had struggled with insomnia, often waking up multiple times throughout the night. But now, after a couple of weeks of mindfulness practice, she noticed that she was falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. Her body felt more relaxed, and her mind wasn't racing as much with worries. The benefits of a better night's sleep weren't immediate, but they were undeniable. She woke up feeling less exhausted, more ready to face the day. One of the things Sarah hadn't expected was the subtle reduction in pain from her arthritis. While it wasn't a miracle cure, the chronic ache in her joints seemed a little less intense. She couldn't help but wonder if it had to do with her newfound ability to relax her body and focus on her breath. After all, stress could be a powerful trigger for pain, and by practicing mindfulness, she was learning how to quiet her mind and release tension from her muscles. As Sarah continued her practice, she felt more connected to herself than she had in years. The physical and emotional tension she carried every day was starting to melt away. She was beginning to understand that mindfulness wasn't just about sitting still for 10 minutes. It was about learning how to carry a sense of calm throughout the rest of the day. It was about finding space between her thoughts and responding to situations with more clarity instead of reacting impulsively. These early victories, though small, motivated Sarah to continue. What started as a simple 10-minute experiment became a daily ritual that she looked forward to each morning. The subtle shifts in her mindset and health were becoming more pronounced. Sarah wasn't just managing her stress and arthritis, she was transforming her relationship with her health and her life. Though the path hadn't been easy, and there were days when her mind still wandered or her body felt tense, Sarah was beginning to see that the power of mindfulness lay in its simplicity. It wasn't about perfection, it was about consistency. By committing to these daily practices, she was slowly building the resilience she had longed for. She was learning to give herself the space to breathe, to live in the moment, and to trust that, Little by little, she was improving her well-being in ways she never thought possible. As months passed, Sarah's mindfulness practice began to deeply impact her life in ways she hadn't anticipated. With each day that she continued her 10-minute morning meditation, she noticed significant changes. Her blood pressure, which had been a constant worry for her, started to stabilize. Though she still had her arthritis, it no longer dominated her thoughts or limited her actions in the way it once did. The pain didn't disappear, but it became more manageable, and Sarah learned to cope with it in a more balanced way. Perhaps the most remarkable transformation was how Sarah began to feel emotionally. The loneliness and stress that had once clouded her mind seemed to lift, and she felt a newfound sense of peace. Sarah realized that her health problems were not going to vanish overnight, but she now had a way of navigating them with greater calm and clarity. The overwhelming anxiety she'd lived with for years had softened, and she could approach her days with more gratitude and less fear. It wasn't just the physical and emotional changes that stood out. Sarah's whole approach to life began to shift. Mindfulness had taught her how to pause, breathe, and appreciate the present moment, something that had been difficult for her in the past. Instead of rushing through her day or constantly worrying about the future, Sarah started to savor the small moments. The warmth of the sun on her face, a kind word from a neighbor, or the simple act of sipping tea in silence. These moments, though fleeting, became the foundation of her well-being. Sarah's transformation didn't just stop with her own experience. She felt compelled to share the power of mindfulness with others. Recognizing how much it had helped her, she decided to start a small mindfulness group in her community for other seniors who were also struggling with chronic health issues or emotional stress. She felt a deep sense of purpose in offering others a space to practice and learn together. The group quickly grew, and Sarah was amazed by how much of a difference mindfulness made for everyone involved. One by one, people began reporting improved health, increased energy, and a sense of peace they hadn't felt in years. Sarah's group not only helped others reclaim their health, but also gave her a sense of connection and fulfillment that had been missing for so long. As she continued to teach and practice mindfulness, Sarah found that the practice became more than just a tool for managing stress and illness. It became a way of life. She no longer viewed her health issues as something that controlled her. Instead, she viewed them as challenges that could be managed with mindfulness and resilience. Every day, as she sat down to meditate, Sarah reminded herself of how far she had come. Her health had improved, her mind had become clearer, and her sense of inner peace was stronger than ever. By embracing mindfulness, Sarah had not only transformed her health, but also her entire outlook on aging. What once seemed like an endless cycle of doctor visits, medication, and frustration was now a journey towards self-discovery, acceptance, and peace. At 70, Sarah had found a new chapter in her life, one filled with joy, purpose, and the knowledge that no matter what challenges came her way, she had the tools to face them with clarity and calm. In the end, Sarah's story serves as a powerful reminder that small, consistent efforts can lead to profound transformations. Through daily mindfulness, she had reclaimed her health and peace of mind. Her journey shows that it's never too late to start taking control of your well-being. By dedicating just a few minutes each day to mindfulness, anyone, regardless of age, can improve their mental clarity, emotional resilience, and physical health. Sarah's experience proves that the power to change lies within us all, and with a little patience and persistence, we can cultivate a more fulfilling, vibrant life.